Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, this video is the continuation from our previous video about mini blender lead modeling. Okay, so in this video I would like to show how we details all the parts in this lead modeling. Alright. Our first move here is we need to make a cutout here, because the cutout for us to, because there will be a handle here and there is a cutout. If you look in this photo, we have a cutout here and we have a holes. So we have a rope which is attached to the handle. Alright, so in Solidworks, so the first thing to do is we go to front view. Before that, I go to section view first. So we have our section view. So in the front view, I'll make a sketch. So I create a center line, as long as it coincides with this edge and somewhere around here. Alright, and this endpoint I will make it coincide with this origin point, and this line is the radius, is because since the diameter of the as shown in this image, the dimension of our lead is 125, so our radius will be 62.5. so the sketch here, I put the dimension, the radius is 62.5. Right, so then I exit the sketch. So this center line that I've just created is for me to create a normal plane to this line. So under features, reference geometry, we put a plane one this line, the other reference is this endpoint of the center line. Then I can create a plane. Okay, in this plane I will create a corner to corner rectangle. I select then I do the relation, select the midpoint and this origin point and set it to what I do it again, the midpoint and if you track carefully the origin point here, set it to coincident. Then I give the dimension of, here is 12, and also the width is 12. Alright, then under features I will do extruded cut. The dimension, make sure that the distance of our extruded cut, it cut through until half of the thickness of this lead. Since the thickness, we already said the thickness is 1.5, so put some value. Let's go for 34. The value is 34.75. 34.75 is half of this thickness. Then I click OK. So we have a cutout. Let me off the section view, and then we have a cutout for this. Then we create a holes here. So then I will do a fillet. Since the width is 6 millimeters, so I will do the fillet of radius 6. for these two edges. So we have a half circle there. So this will be the cutout. Okay, next thing to do is this plane. I create a sketch at this plane, then I do a circle. Make sure that it coincides with the center point, and I give the radius of it. Okay, radius of 8. So then I will do extruded cut. As long the distance of this extruded cut is greater than the thickness of the lead, then I click OK, so it will make a cut through holes. Right, let me see overview. So we have let me save my file. So we have these features where we have a cutout and we have a drill through holes. Okay, the next step is for us to do this. If you look in this image, we have the internal structure of this lid. We have a shaft here, and also we have a hollow cylinder. And the structure, this shaft is strengthened by these ribs. We have some ribs here. So let us do that in Solidworks. Okay, let's go to the bottom view of our lid. So I have already measured for me if you look in this image, the height of the pole I already stated here. The pole height is 20 from the internal surface of the lid, but I have already measured. I start at this bottom plane here. I make a reference geometry plane, then I create this will be my first reference, and the distance is I already measured is 3 from that plane, and the direction is supposed to be inside, so I make a flip. So that will be the plane for the height of the shaft. So this will be the plane, then I create a sketch. So I will create the diameter of the shaft is, if you look in the sketch, diameter of the shaft is 5 mm. So I will give a dimension of 5 mm. So this will be dimension of the shaft. So then I will do features, extruded boss. Make sure the direction is go to that direction, and we can do either up to surface or up to body. For this case I use up to body. Then I click this body, so directly it will extrude. It will stop at the internal or the surface inside here. So this will be our shaft. Okay, another thing, if you look also in this photo, we have internal side, we have a hollow cylinder with the reed. So let's do the hollow cylinder first. I already measured the distance from this plane to the plane we want to sketch our internal cylinder is 18. The distance is 18. So here, as I just mentioned, we make a reference plane here from this top surface of the shaft, and we put the dimension, the distance is 18. We go to flip offset. So this sketch is for us to create, actually sketch plane, this plane 12 that we made. Actually plane is infinitive, you can drag it, we can resize to any size that you want. So this will be the plane for us. So I create a sketch of this plane, and this is this plane. On this plane I create a sketch of if you look in this image, the diameter is 35. Diameter is 35, so I give a dimension of 35 here, and the thickness is 1 mm. Okay, the thickness is 1. I do offset, then click at this one, make sure the direction of the offset is inside. You click at reverse here, then I click OK. So for this one, I will extrude, make sure the direction go to that side, and use up to surface, and you click at the surface and you will stop at the surface. So we have the internal hollow cylinder here. So the only thing that we need to do the rib. Okay, the next thing is for us to do the rib. The rib is meant for to strengthening this shaft. Okay, if you look at this photo, we have 4 ribs here. So in order for us to do the ribs, the ribs distance is about, we need to create a plane. The plane, I need to make a features reference plane, so the plane for the rib is little bit lower than this plane 12, so I put a value of 1, and we go to the other side. Let's go for 2 millimeter for where we will place the rib. Let me go for 3. Let's go for 3 for the location where we create our rib. So that I click OK. Before that, let me off the height, the plane 12 here, that we have plane 13 here. So this plane 13 will be where we create the rib. Okay, for this plane 13, I will create a sketch for me to create a rib. If you look, if you look from this photo, the rib angle is about 30 degree from the horizontal line. So in Solidworks, I will create, first I create a center line. Make sure I use midpoint line from the center point and create until it snaps to the quadrant of this internal circular edge. So I will convert this into construction line, so it becomes center line. Then I will create a line. To create the rib, the line don't have to touch the circular edge of the shaft and also the circular edge of this internal cylinder. So I create a line there, and I also create another line here, and I will create another line here, then another one more line here. Alright, as I mentioned, the angle from here to here is 30 degree. And also from here to here is also 30 degree. And from here to here is 60 degree. And from here to here is, let me do it again, this 60 degree. Alright, so we already set the angle, so it means that, but this line is not considered to make sure that the direction of this line pointing toward the center. So in order for me to do that, I select this line, hold down my control key and select the center point and make coincident, so it will in line with this center line. Also this line, select this line and this control point, make it coincident. And also this line and this center point, make it coincident, so it will pointing to the center of this center point of this circle, make it coincident. Okay, to create the rib, make sure that the line is not touching the internal edge. As long as you have this kind of line, so it's enough for us to create the rib as shown in this image. Alright, I exit my sketch. Then I go to features under rib command and make sure to create the rib. If you see, if I put the value is 10, that is too much. The rib thickness is 1. to create the rib, make sure do not use the first option. If you use the first option, your ribs thickness will kind of offset to the other side. To make sure that your ribs thickness is in the middle, you use the middle, the second option, and also make sure the thickness is 1, and also the direction of the material where we will protrude the ribs to the material. So make sure the direction in toward to the bottom. Sometimes if you go to this option, the direction of the arrow is pointing to the side, so this is not correct. This is wrong, because we need to protrude the ribs toward to the bottom. So make sure we use this option. And also sometimes if you flip the material, if you check the material is the direction is toward upward, so this is also wrong. So make sure we uncheck the flip material, make sure that the direction is protruded toward the material. So and here also selected body, so we need to select the body where we will protrude our ribs. Then we click OK. So we have our ribs. As shown like here, we have a ribs. Alright, our next move is we need to create a slot here. If you look here, we have a cutting slot here. We have a cutout here. I already measured the distance is about width of the cutout is 5 millimeter, and the height of the cutout is about let me check, it's about 3 or 4 millimeter. So in Solidworks, I will create a reference plane per reference geometry plane. I will select this top surface, and the distance is about 3 millimeter. Or let me go for 3.5 millimeter. And if you look, the plane is above, so we need to flip it. Make sure you go downward. I just got to make sure that the plane is not, since this surface, hold on. Do it again. This surface is not a flat surface, kind of a curvature surface. So make sure that the distance of the plane does not cut through this bottom face here. So let me do a reference plane again. So this is a plane, it's from this top plane, and we go for 3.5 and make sure it's split. And I don't think so it cut through the plane. So I think the height of this plane is about right. So this plane, okay, let me off this plane 13. Okay, this plane 17 that I have just created, so will be the level for us to draw the cutout. So at this plane 17, I make a sketch. Alright, I use a midpoint sketch, make sure it's snap at the center point, and also snap at the quadrant of this edge of this hollow cylinder. And I change it to construction geometry to make it a center line. Okay, in order for me to create a cutout, is just I use a simple center point rectangle. As long the width of the rectangle is bigger than this circle, these two circles, and also similarly I use center point rectangle there. Then I give a dimension, since the width of the cutout is 5 units, and also the width here is 5 units. Okay, in this case I don't care to, we really don't need to make this profile, these two rectangles to be fully defined, just because we need to make it just a cutout. Then I will do and the distance is 5, the width is 5 units, and the length is greater, I need to cut the portion of the thickness of the cylinder. So then I will do features extruded cut, make sure the direction is upward, and we can go through all, since there is nothing above. Then I click OK. So we have a slot, a cutout. Okay, a cutout. As similarly as shown in this photo, we have a cutout. Alright, the next thing to do is for us to create, if you look in this image, we have kind of a slot here. So the idea of this cutting slot here is where, if you look, this portion is where we will mount the coil spring. So at the end of the coil spring is kind of like locked into, it will be locked. It will be one end of the coil spring will be hinged to this cutting slot. So for this, so we have to do this cutting slot here. Okay, in Solidworks, okay, since my view is, if you look here, is on the other side, so I will do the cutting slot at this plane. Okay, at this plane, I will create a sketch. So what I will do, I will create a line from this quadrant up until here, then I create something like this. So I give the dimension is here is 5 units, and also the dimension here is 3. So we have the kind of L shape. Then the next thing is we need to offset it, this line. So make sure that selection is on. Selection is on, and also the cap end is also the cap end is also checked. Make sure it's not arch. You use line, so it means at both ends you will make a closed loop of L shape, and the thickness is 1. The thickness and 1, and also do not check the reverse direction. The reverse direction will make it to the other side, so I will go to this direction. So then I click OK. So this will be the region for me to do boss extruded boss base. Make sure direction to the bottom and make sure up to surface. Then I click at the surface and we will extrude to the surface. Okay, we have our slot here, but we still need to create a gap here. If you look in this photo, we have a gap of 1 millimeter. So in this Solidworks, at the same plane here, I create a sketch. So here I will create a simple corner to corner rectangle as long as snap at this end point, and I create it like this. And the thickness of the rectangle is 1 millimeter, and we don't need this to be fully defined as long as the line is greater than the thickness of the cylinder. So this one we will do features extruded cut, and make sure the direction is downward and we go up to surface. Then we click at the surface. So we have a if you look here, we have the a slot here and also the gap here as shown in this photo. I make some certain changes here. I think I remeasured the thickness of the lid is not 1.5, so I will double check this lid. Previously I've shown you the thickness is 1.5, but I think it should be 2. So we update it, so we increase a little bit the thickness of our lid. Okay, one thing that happened if I increase the thickness, so we have kind of like a cutting slot that we have done previously. The level of the plane kind of like cut out at this end. So I think we need to adjust the if I click at the slot, since we set the depth is 3.5, so I make it to 3. Make to 3 and we do some update. Then okay, now it should be okay. Alright, our next step is, if we look in this photo of this lid, we have since the thickness is 2 and they have kind of like a cutout, a slight thickness here, it's about 0.5 millimeter. It cut out downward at the edge of this at the circular edge of this lid. So in Solidworks, okay, at this plane I create a sketch. So I select the internal circle here. Then I convert to entities. So we have a trace of the inner circle of the thickness of this lid. So we offset it. Okay, the offset is measure is not inside, measure it's on the other side. So the thickness is 0.5. So this will be our profile to be extruded cut. So in features we extruded cut, measure the direction is upward to downward, and the thickness is 3. So I click OK, so it will cut out some portion. So we have a cut out portion of 0.5 thickness, as shown in this image. We have a cutout of 0.5. The depth is 3 millimeter. Alright, our next move is we have to do this. If we look in this image, the lid, they have kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 internal structure here. This internal structure is kind of like a rib to support. They have kind of like a groove here. They have kind of like a gap here, a groove, where this groove, where the component which is the middle plate, that will be mounted onto this groove. That will be mounted on this groove. So we have to do this internal ribs here. So this internal rib, I already done take the measurement. I already sketched on paper. So this will be the dimension. So whether they have about 5 degrees from the center point of the lid, and the thickness is about 0.5, and the radius of the is 52.5 of the. They kind of like have a cross shape here. So let us do this internal ribs will be laying on this plane, not this plane, the plane that we already make a cutout previously. So I select this plane, I make a sketch. If you look in this photo, the angle is 45 degrees. The location of the first structure that we need to build, 45 degrees. So I make a center line from the center point to these edges. Then I make another center line from the center point, make sure it's horizontal and snap to the quadrant. And we give the dimension, we give the dimension from this point to this point is 45 degrees. So this center line of this 45 degree will be our guideline where we will create our this internal structure. Alright, if you look back at the sketching here, they have a radius 52.5 here, and 5 degree of the at both sides. So what I will do, I will create another center line from this center point up until this edge, and I do mirror, and the mirror about is the center line. Okay, make sure that both line is center line, and also I give a dimension from here to here is 5 degrees. So the other side will be mirrored, is also 5 degrees. Alright, then I will do, since we need to create this kind like a cross shape here, and since if you look, the radius is 52.5 or the diameter is 105, so I have to create another circle. I have to create a circle from this center point to somewhere around here, and I give the diameter is 105. So the radius will be 52.5. If you look at the image, the radius is 52.5 or diameter 105. Okay, see this the inner part. And also if you look in this image, we need to offset of a distance 5 units for this middle line here. So we have 5 units, so I will offset from this line. Alright, so I will do offset from this circular edge and measure and check the bidirectional, and the distance is 5, and make sure the side is reversed. So this will be our middle line. Then I click OK. So this line I need to convert it into construction geometry. So we have kind of a cross shape here. And okay, the next thing to do is we need to, since we have a line here, we have the border is here, the next thing to do is we need to trim it. So I will trim, basically I will trim this part until I get the kind of like cross shape. This one need to be trimmed, and also this part need to be trimmed, and also this part. Alright, so we have basically the shape of this part also need to be trimmed. Alright, so we have basically the cross shape. Alright, next thing is we need to set the dimension again, because we have lost all the relation here. I click the dimension from this point to this center line, the angle is 5 degrees, and also from this point to this center line the angle is 5 degrees, and also the relation of this radius here from this point to the origin point, the radius should be 52.5. Okay, it looks like we have lost all the relations. So I already put the angular dimension in 5. This line is still remain in blue color, so it have lost the relation of coincidence. So I have to select this line and hold down my control key to this. Also I click this origin point and set the relation to coincidence. So it means that this line remain pointing to the center. So it looks like our basic construction line here is fully defined. Okay, then we can do some offset. If you look in this image, this offset distance here is 0.5, and the wall thickness here is 1 millimeter. So what I will do for this line, I will do offset. Okay, I will do offset since I'm using 0.5 thickness, so I will do 0.25, and also I must click at bidirectional, so it means the total thickness will be 0.5 for that. So this will be the thickness of this line, and the second offset will be this line. I do offset again and I select this line, also use bidirectional, and this one the thickness is 0.5, so it means that the thickness will be 0.5. Alright, so this will be the region for us to do boss extrude, features, extruded boss pin. Make sure the direction is to downward, and I must select the contours. Which contours? Under selected contours, select the region we need to this one as well, these contours, also the middle portion, and also these contours, and also these contours. And we will use option up to body, and you select the body. So then you click OK. So then we have this internal structure. Right, so we have the internal structure as like shown here. We have an internal structure. Then we need to circular pattern. Since the angle, if you look in this image, the angle from here to here is 45 degree, is 90 degree from here. So we will do circular pattern of the remains is 270 degrees, and the number of pattern is 8. So I will do under features here. We have under linear pattern, we have circular pattern. Okay, make sure the first one is the direction. We select a guideline, so it will be this circular edge here, and the features to pattern, we select this rib here that we have just made, and make sure the angle that we will cover is 270 and the number is 8, and then we click OK. So we have the 8 numbers of the internal structure. Alright. Okay, the next one will be, if you look in this photo, they have kind of like a cutout. They kind of like have a groove here, a cutout. The depth of the cutout is about 3 millimeter, and the width of the cutout is actually the distance here. It means that from these edges. So we have to create another plane to make a cutout to create a groove. So at this plane, at this planar plane here, I will create another sketch. So for this case, I just simply create a circle from the center point to this end point here. Then I will create another circle from the center point to this end point. So we have 2 circles. So these 2 circles we will use to extruded cut. And the distance of the extruded cut is 3 millimeter. So I go to features and use extruded cut, and the direction is downward, and I give 3 millimeter and click OK. So we have the cutout. So this cutout will act like for is a groove. Is a groove where we will mount this middle plate. This middle plate will be mounted on this groove. Alright, the last thing to do for the slit modeling is, if we look in this picture of the lid, we already done the 8 structures here, rib structures just now. So the only thing left is, if you look carefully, we have a 3 repeated pattern. We have a 3 groove here. If you look carefully here, there is a groove here, and also one is here, another one is there. So this groove is behave as a snap features from the, if you look this photo, the middle plate. If you look at the middle plate, we have a snap hook here. This is a snap feature, and they also have 3 of it. Another 2 is there. So when this middle plate, when it mount on to this lid, it will snap fit into this groove. So for this lid modeling, we need to create these 3 groove here, one here, here, and here. Okay, for this lid modeling, I will not do because groove means we have a cutting here. I will just do the base for the cutting, because the cutting will be done later after I have finished the modeling of this middle plate. When I've done the modeling of this middle plate, I have a hook, I have a snap here, snap features. Then this middle plate will be inserted into into this modeling, and it will make as a cutout. This one will be shown in the next video. Okay, but for the time being, we need to do this base for this to create the base for the snap groove. Alright, so in our file, okay, I already take the measure, the location of the snap groove. If you look here, from the bottom view of our lead, the degree is about 64 degrees from the horizontal axis. So we have three pattern, and the remaining angle is 232 degrees, since this one is 64 and 64. So okay, to do the base for the snap groove, so I will create at this top plane, I will create a sketch plane. Then I will do a center line from this center point until it touch these edges, and I create another center line from this center point, make sure it is horizontal and touch this quadrant. And if you look the sketch, the angle is 64 degrees. The angle is 64 degrees, so we set the angle 64. Alright, then I will create another line from the center point to the edge, and I give the angle is 3 degrees. 3 degrees. Then I will do a mirror. I mirror this line and about the center line. Right, to do the base for the snap groove, I will trace this edge. I will select this edge and also the internal edge here by pressing the control keyboard. Then I convert into entirety, so we have a trace of that two edges. So then I can do trim. I will trim this portion and also this portion, so we have a region for us to do the base for the groove of our snap fit. But if you look, this sketching have lost the relation, since we need to make the relation this blue color. So I select this edge, hold down the control key and select the center point, the set relation to coincidence, so that it will pointing to the center point. And also this edge, hold down my control key and select the center point, make it coincident. Right, so then our profile is fully defined. So then I will do features, extruded boss base, make sure direction is to downward, and we go to up to surface, so it will extrude until the surface. Then we click OK. So we have the base for the snap groove, right? Okay, but the pattern is 3. So it's 3 of it. So I make a circular pattern of the snap groove of 3. So then I will do circular pattern, and the direction here, make sure you select this edge, this circular edge, and make sure the angle, since if you look in this image, the remaining angle, since the angle of the center line is 64 degrees, the remaining angle is 232 degrees. So the remaining angle is 232 and the number is 3. So the features, under features to circular pattern, we select the boss extrude that we have just done to create this, the one that we have just extrude. Okay, so if you can see, they have a preview of it, then you click OK. So we have the base for the snap groove. Okay, Alhamdulillah, I think we have completed our lead modeling. Yeah, I think that's all for this lead modeling of this mini blender. Inshallah, in the next video, I will do another part modeling, which is the middle plate and also the bottle container. If you look at this image, we have done the lid modeling, and the middle plate is at here in the middle, and also the bottom container. Alright, okay, Inshallah, I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.